All right, so you're gearing up for the big one, the AP history exam. It doesn't matter if it's world, US, or European. They're all kind of daunting, right? But what if I told you there's a code to crack, a roadmap to follow? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to break this test down piece by piece so you know exactly how to conquer it. Okay, let's talk time. 3 hours and 15 minutes. That is the total time you get for the whole shebang. Now, that might sound like a long time, but trust me, it flies by. Every single second counts. See, this isn't just about what you know. It's a test of endurance, of strategy, of how well you manage that clock. So, ready to take it on? Because you absolutely can. Look, the secret isn't just about cramming a bunch of dates and names into your brain. No, it's about understanding the game itself. You got to know how the test is built, how it's scored, and most importantly, how to use that structure to your advantage. That's where we start.
Okay, so the exam at a glance. Every AP History test is basically split into two halves, and they could not be more different from each other. I want you to think of it like a track meet. You've got your sprints, and then you've got your marathons. And you have to master both to win.
So here it is, a tale of two sections. On one hand, you've got Section I, the sprints. This is all about being fast-paced. It's high volume, testing a huge, broad range of your knowledge. Then you've got Section II, the marathons. This is a totally different beast. We're talking endurance, deep analysis, and pure argumentation. It's a whole different mindset.
All right, let's dive into Section I, the sprints. This is the first half of the exam, and it's made up of two parts, the multiple choice questions and the short answer questions. And for both of these, speed is the name of the game. So first up, you've got 55 multiple choice questions in 55 minutes. Yeah, that's 1 minute per question. But here's the kicker, and this is really important. It's not about memorizing random facts. Nope. Every single question is tied to some kind of historical source, what they call a stimulus, like a text or an image. Your job is to analyze it right there on the spot. And you're going to see all kinds of stuff. The questions come in little sets, like 3 or 4 questions all tied to one source. So 1 minute, you might be looking at a primary source text, and the next, you're deciphering a political cartoon or a map. Then bam, you're hit with a chart full of data. It's designed to test how well you can think on your feet, not just what you've memorized. Okay, you've finished that 55-minute sprint. Phew. But don't rest yet, because right away you're heading into the next sprint, the short answer questions, the SAQs. Now you're shifting gears from picking an answer to actually writing your own.
Now, the cool thing about the SAQs is that they're super predictable. You're going to get 3 of them. Question 1 is required, and it's based on a secondary source. Question 2 is also required, and it's based on a primary source. But then you get a choice. You get to pick between question 3 or 4, and these don't have a source at all. This is your chance to shine and pick the topic you know inside and out.
Okay, deep breath. The sprints are over. You've made it through the first half. Now we're shifting into a totally different mode for Section 2, the marathons. This part is all about digging in for the long haul. It's about endurance, crafting arguments, and really showing off your writing skills. And first up is the big one, the centerpiece of the entire exam, the document-based question, or DBQ. They're going to give you a prompt and a packet of 7 historical documents. Now, your job is not to just summarize what the documents say. No way. Your job is to be a detective and a lawyer, to use those documents as evidence to build your very own powerful historical argument. So, what does it take to get a great score on the DBQ? Well, it's a formula. You need a solid, defensible thesis. You have to describe the broader context around the topic. You've got to use at least 4 of the documents they give you, plus, and this is key, 1 piece of outside evidence from your own brain. And you have to analyze the point of view for at least 2 docs. You do all that, you're not just answering a question, you are thinking and writing like a real historian. Now, you get a full hour for this marathon, but how you use that time is absolutely crucial. The first 15 minutes are officially a reading period. I'm telling you, this is the most important 15 minutes of the DBQ. This is when you plan your attack. A well-planned essay is almost always a high-scoring essay. Then, you've got a solid 45 minutes to just write it all out.
All right, you're on the home stretch, the final marathon, the long essay question, or LEQ. So, after relying on all those documents for the DBQ, poof, they're gone. Now it's just you and your knowledge. They'll give you a choice of 3 different prompts, and you have to pick one and write a full-blown historical essay from scratch. All the evidence has to come from what you've learned all year.
Okay, so we've got the format down, right? But here's a pro tip, a huge strategic advantage. What history do you actually need to know?
Well, it kind of depends on which part of the exam you're in. That's right, not every section covers the entire timeline of the course, and knowing this can completely change how you study.
Take a look at this table. Seriously, this could be your best friend when you're reviewing. See how the multiple choice section can pull from pretty much the entire course? That's your broad knowledge. But now, look at the DBQ row. For AP US History, for example, it's guaranteed to fall somewhere between 1754 and 1980. Guaranteed! That tells you exactly where to focus your deep dive studying for that essay. It's all about studying smarter, not just harder.
All right, let's talk about the final scorecard. This might be the most important piece of the puzzle, the weighting. Knowing how many points each section is worth, well, that tells you exactly where to put your energy, both when you're studying and on the day of the test.
And the numbers here tell a really interesting story. That first section, the sprints, so the MCQ and SAQ together, is worth a whopping 60% of your total score. The multiple choice alone is 40%. The two big essays, the marathons, make up the other 40%. So yeah, everything matters, but that fast-paced first half of the test, it carries a ton of weight.
But hang on, let me put that another way for you because this is wild. Those two essays you write, the DBQ and the LEQ, together they're worth 40%. That is exactly the same as all 55 multiple choice questions combined. Let that sink in. Your ability to write a strong historical argument is just as important as all of that quick-fire analysis. Your writing skills matter a lot. So there you have it. That's the blueprint. The complete map to the AP History exam. You now know the structure, the timing, the types of questions, and how it's all scored. The map is officially in your hands. So the real question is, now that you know the course, where are you going to focus your training?